In today's video, we are going to be taking these Toyota 4Runner headlights from this to this. Now the process that we're going to do here is going to be wet sanding and then polishing, depending on whether or not you have a UV coating over your headlights, which a lot of manufacturers make. You might also fancy a dry sanding as well with like a 600 grit to remove that coating, because typically what you'll see is that part of the coating starts to fade but not all of it, so you could go ahead and sand all of that off. For this exercise, we're just going to be wet sanding and then doing the polishing. So let's go ahead and look at what we're going to need. So starting off, I have some various levels of sandpaper here, and we can start with the 800 grit and move to 1000 or maybe a 1500. I've got a few sheets of that, and then we also have 2000 and 3000. I don't believe we'll need 3000. We might stop around 1500 or 2000, but this is just to get some of that oxidation off the top layer of the headlight and to remove any of those impurities and maybe some other scratches that are on the headlight. We're going to use some dish soap along with some water that I've got back here. This is just repurposing an old glass cleaner bottle, and we'll use that to do the wet sanding. Following that step, we're going to move to a polishing compound or a cutting compound along with just a small little rotary pad. I've got an orange pad selected, and I've just got it on an impact drill. We've also got some tape that is down here, so we're going to tape off the headlight and make sure that we don't touch the paint or scratch the paint with any of the products that we are using. So let's go ahead and get started. Now we're ready. So now that we have successfully popped both the gas lid and the hood, I have closed the gas lid and we're ready to tape off the hood. So just working on the underside and then lipping it over. And what you can also do is fit a trash bag, or if you have some paper, like some tissue paper, you can fit that underneath this painter's tape as well, and that'll help to cover and kind of contain where all of the wet sanding goes, so that way your paint isn't all dirty whenever you finish. Now if you plan to wash your vehicle when you're done wet sanding and done cleaning your headlights, that's fine too. I washed this vehicle yesterday, so I'm going to try my best to keep the other surfaces somewhat clean. Now that we have it all taped off, I'm going to go ahead and give it a spray. And then I have 800 grit sandpaper here, and you can use a sanding block. I do not have one, so what I'm going to do is put the sandpaper on the palm of my hand as opposed to my fingers. And I don't know if this necessarily makes that much of a difference when it comes to headlights, but whenever you wet sand a vehicle and you don't have a block, you want to make sure it's on the palm so there's even distribution of the weight. If it's just on your fingers, what you'll find is your fingerprints showing through on the paint. So just for good practice, I'm going to put it on my palm to have that even weight distribution and start with some horizontal motions on the headlight. And so what you'll start to see is this white film or this white coating starting to come off, and that's going to be some of that oxidation and dirt. Again, if you have that UV film, that'll also be apparent as you go and sand off. And here you can see on the paint some of those goobers that are coming off the headlights. So we're tracking along. It's still pretty foggy, but we've hit it with the 800, 1000, and 2000 grit. We used a little soap along the way, so you can still see some scratch marks in it. So you might go over it one more time, but I'll compare it to the driver's side headlight just so you can see the difference so far. And so here is the driver's side. You can see this one's just as foggy. It's got a lot of scratches. It's not very uniform with its clarity. And so this will be the next one that we work on, but just as a comparison to show. And so now we're going to use some Meguiar's Ultra Cut compound. You can use various different products. This is just what I've got. So I'm going to pour a little bit onto this orange pad and start working on the headlight. Go ahead and kind of work it in just a little bit so it doesn't fling around everywhere. So we'll give it a couple taps. Spread it out a little bit more. Go ahead and get started. And so now we've finished up roughly half of this headlight. I'm going to wipe off any of the excess compound that's on the headlight, and then we'll take a close-up look. So now you can see we're really clearing out the plastic. You can kind of compare to what we've got on this front half, and then look over, and we've pulled a lot of that oxidation out of the headlight. So we're looking really well. So now check this out. We are looking much better than we were before. I used the microfiber and cleaned off any excess. You can also use some isopropyl alcohol to wipe off any that still remain on the surface, but we are looking really, really good. All right, now we are going to use a blue pad to do just a little bit of polishing work, see if we can get the headlight to look that much better. And unfortunately, when I was taking off my orange pad, I ripped off the felt. So we'll have to glue that back together, but let's go ahead and give this a polish and see what we can get. So there we go, just wiping off the rest of that polish. Not a huge difference from the cutting compound, but still, overall, this looks really good. And so again, here's roughly what it would look like before and after. Got a lot of the opaqueness out of the plastic, and overall the surface is much more clear than it was. And so there we go. I've just wrapped up this headlight. Again, 3 different types of sandpaper, 800, 1000, and 2000, helped to get that top layer of goo out of there. And then we went by with that polishing compound, that cutting compound, to lift off any of that other dirt, and that worked really, really well. I'm gonna pop over to the passenger side and knock that out. I hope this video helped you guys out. If you have any questions, leave them down below and I will answer them for you. Till next time, you guys have a good one, and I'll catch you later.
Whoa, bud, that looks awesome. Wow.